Hello, everyone. Welcome to William and the Magic Box. Today on our show, we are going to have Tom. Tom is from London, in England, in the UK. So let's see what Tom has to say. Enjoy the interview. So, hello, Tom. How are you?
Good, thanks, William. It's Wednesday evening here in West London. Pretty tired after a busy day of work, and I kind of thought to myself, is this kind of what we want to wear, more formal work-wise? And I thought, yeah, why not? So all good, thanks.
Amazing. You're perfect. This is the way things are. I love your wearing your sash for the Mr. Leather Europe 2024. My goodness. So tell me, so far, how has been going the journey? I'm sure you've been very busy attending events and traveling. So tell me a little bit more since you became Mr. Leather Europe 2024.
Yeah, so William, it happened almost 3 weeks ago in Milan. A big group of us all around Europe, the different clubs got together. We had a fantastic weekend, and I was kind of the lucky one out of five other fantastic contestants around Europe. And it took me maybe a day or two to realize how surreal this is and how much of a how much of a lovely opportunity this is to spend another year doing something that you love doing. And I think I already had a bit of a plan on what I wanted to do, but to be honest, between you and me, the first 2 or 3 weeks is all about kind of getting into that mental state of saying, oh God, this is actually happening. Alongside that, you have to get back into a work routine. But obviously, a big part of doing the Mr. Leather Europe and any title holder in the fetish community is doing the traveling and supporting the clubs and countries that need it the most. So the first weekend was in Amsterdam with a really lovely club called Motorsports Amsterdam. They had their Mr. Leather Netherlands weekend, which was fantastic. The weather could have been a bit better. And then this weekend just gone, they had back here in Birmingham in the UK, so quite close to us. They had
Wow.
a puppy UK and handler competition that I was helping out behind the scenes. So it's been a pretty busy start, but from our side this weekend coming, we've got a nice weekend in London. So obviously at both of our local home where there are a few events taking place, so it should be a bit more relaxing.
Yeah, I think when you attend those events, if you are attending in your hometown, somehow you can go back to your beds. You know what I mean? To your house. Somehow you feel more
Yeah.
cozy, feel more relaxing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. From my side, I must admit, a lot of the year, as I said, revolves around traveling. And I don't know about you, William, but I'm really bad at sleeping in hotel beds in other people's beds. I need my own bed, my own bed sheets. Don't ask me why. It's just what I prefer.
Absolutely. I think there's no better place than our beds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's a place where automatically you just relax. You just
You
recover.
just
Yes.
relax a bit, you know?
The whole atmosphere about your house, your is everything gets together, and you just feel like, okay, I can just relax right now. But
Yeah.
Tom, so during the journey, I'm going to explore a little bit more about the journey so far. Since you became a Mr. Leather Europe 2024. But tell me where you're from.
Yeah, so from my side, at the moment, I live in West London. However, throughout most of my childhood and the ages of a young adult, I was born and raised in a county in the south of UK called Berkshire. So Berkshire is quite well known for having a lot of small towns and small cities. William, you're kind of smiling, so I think you know kind of what whereabouts Berkshire is. I grew up in a really small town in Berkshire. I went to university in Nottingham when I turned 18, so that was a bit of a mind-blowing experience. And then since a couple of years ago, I've moved into London for work opportunities and all of this really.
I see. And all your family are back in your hometown.
Yeah, that's right. So my mum was born and raised here in the UK. My dad, however, was born and raised in Germany. So we spent lots of time growing up in Germany, which is fantastic. But, one had to make the decision to either move to the UK or move to Germany. So at the time, my dad moved over to here. So most of my life spent born and raised there, as well as my parents.
Did you grow up also speaking German or not? Just English?
Well, my dad was traveling so much when we were younger, so we used to we've got still plenty of family who are dotted around Germany. So it was only when I was in Germany that I actually started to speak the natural language, but it was only through watching kids programs in German, like Pokemon or Heidi in German. And then when I went to school, actually, I did know a few sentences and a bit of the grammar and the vocab. So that did help. But I think it was only until school and doing your exams that you kind of master a second language. So my mother tongue is English. However, I'd probably say that I know German to a pretty decent level.
I see. And what do you do for work, for living, Tom?
Yeah, from my side, out of the leathery work, really. Yeah, from my side, I work in the pharmaceutical industry. I've been doing that since I left university, basically, and yeah, a couple of jobs down the line, and here we are now. So it's completely different compared to kind of what a lot of people in the community know me for, but. I find that ever more fun, kind of learning about somebody and thinking, oh God, you actually do this. I would have never thought that you kind of worked in this industry or this area of work.
Can you just repeat again? I didn't get it. The name.
From from my side, I work in the pharmaceutical industry.
Oh, pharmacy.
Yeah. So it's kind of in it's kind of a few pharmaceutical companies that I work for, and have used to work for.
Okay. So again, I'm going to explore all about that during the interview, okay?
Sure.
Are you ready to go on a beautiful journey through your memories in life and share your point of views?
Let's do it, darling.
Amazing. Welcome to William and the Magic Box. So I've got here a friend, okay, full of random fun questions. I'm just gonna play a song now just for us to relax a bit before the first question, okay?
Okay, I'm ready.
Let's do it. All right, so before we start the game, during the journey, if it comes up a question that you don't want to talk about some reason, you don't want to answer, always can change, okay?
Sure.
Right, first question for you is, what do you like the most about yourself?
Oh, myself, this is almost like being in a job interview, isn't it, really? I will only kind of, the first things that come to mind are things that people have said about me positively, I guess. I never always think about, oh, what makes Tom good? I think Tom is somebody who's kind of as friendly as he possibly could be, somebody who's very easy to listen to, take in things, give people time to have conversations with me. So very level-headed more than anything. Somebody who could be very, very trusted, integral, respectful. So I think those two or three buzzwords, that they're friendly, trustworthy, and respectful. I think those are the words.
And when you analyze yourself in a deeper level, you go like, okay, I could improve in that area. There's something that you analyze yourself that you go like, okay, I could work on it more.
Yeah, two areas always come to mind. So, but from my side, I work. From my side, I definitely work, and whether it's work or leather-wise or just personal wise, I always overthink things, and I've always overthought things since a very, very young age, and I think it's very, very natural from people from all walks of life. And from my side, I can overthink about things that don't even matter in my life or will make little to no impact. So if I can, over my years of my life, if I can learn to improve to basically, overthink less and to an extent care less about things that won't even impact my life, there's that. And possibly a lot of people say to me that I say yes all of the time to questions or queries or jobs or opportunities. I always say yes, and with that comes more work and more responsibilities. That adds to the stress a little bit more. So there's a little bit of a correlation between those two things that I think if I was, a little bit older and a little bit wiser, I could definitely improve upon, William.
What's your star sign or astrology?
From my side, I'm a Gemini. So I was born in the fabulous month of a warm June. So what about you?
I'm Scorpio, actually. My birthday's in 2 days.
Oh my God, you should have told me. We could have done a birthday song or something.
Almost there, not there yet.
Oh, happy birthday until then, love.
Thank you. Next question. Hey, Tom from London. Next question is, what can make you cry and what can make you really happy?
Okay, so the first thing that came to mind when I the thing that recently actually made me cry because Christmas is coming up. I love Christmas. I'm the type of person who starts putting up decorations the second it's the 1st of December. I actually watched a Christmas film called The Holiday, which is this real kind of rom-com Christmas film about two couples who just managed to get together randomly. And throughout all of that, I cry my eyes out. I think things that make me cry, I'm not going to think of any really sad or tragic things, to be honest. That from my side, I always look, we back home where I used to live in Berkshire, we've got a huge array of old photos, albums from our family, friends, loved ones during the time that I've been living, as well as previous family. And you just flick through the photos and emotions come to mind, positive, negative, everything in between. And I start crying my eyes out. I'm a complete crybaby at pretty much anything that gets a part of my emotions or heartstrings going, mate. Um, Something that makes me very, very happy is either from a self-aware perspective, kind of hitting projects, whether that's obviously work-wise, personal-wise, leather-wise as well, and seeing other people who are very close friends, family, loved ones around me prosper as well. Seeing them do exactly the same things probably makes me very, very happy. So I think that answers those two areas.
Who in your family you are more close to?
Oh God, how much time do we have? Um, I think I've always been a lot of it back home, obviously in England and probably everywhere else, we have the term a mama's boy. So I'll always gravitate to my mum equally as well as my dad. I'm a huge, huge family person. I must admit, William, our family is quite small in general from my mother's side and my father's side. So I don't have much choice of kind of family members who I tend to be around the most. But equally, I love my brother because he's so different to me. He's the complete polar opposite as to who I portray as with friends, family, or by myself. So they have the term with batteries that opposites attract. So I get along extremely well with him as well.
I see. Okay. Next question, Tom. Let's do it. Right. Before the next question, tell me when the idea came along for you to be part of the competition to become Mr. Leather Europe.
Wow. The idea actually came into play maybe from my side. I had a previous regional title called Mr. Leather London, and the club who looked after that one, it can fall into the European club. And maybe a month or two after I won the London title, I thought to myself, could I see myself doing this, but representing the European club? And I was really getting into it, overthinking it, underthinking it, and I kind of thought then, yeah, actually, I'm kind of enjoying the work so far that came along with it. And when the kind of more ambassadorial job started to come with it, it felt very natural, very normal, not forced. So I thought, heck, I equally love not only London but also Europe. Just because the clubs, all of the organizations, obviously all of the cities that have the scenes, they're fantastic. But I noticed that there are some parts of Europe that still need a bit of help and support. So I thought, oh, I could see myself being quite passionate for this. So probably around this time last year or around Christmas time, William, I had to think about it and thinking, oh, should I put my name into the ring?
Did you think that you could win? Like, did you think, okay, I can be the winner? Did you have like a feeling?
I always have two sides to this, as most people would say. It's quite a congenial answer, to be honest, William. A part of me said yes, because I know how passionate I am about the European scene, as I talked about, and with or without this title, I'd still be doing stuff for the scene in whatever capacity. Um, but at the same time, I said no because there were so many other candidates on that weekend from all walks of life around Europe who equally deserved it through the work that they've done over the past year as their own misters and just who they are as a person, William. So you always have both sides, and you never try and be too confident because if it doesn't work out, then you're going to feel more crap, to be honest, if you pardon my swear word.
Okay. Next question is, who has been the most influential person in your life and why?
Okay, so not even thinking about leather at all, really. it sounds like a bit of a basic answer, but I would say my parents more than anything, you know, without going into too much detail because I don't have to. You know, my mum and dad, they grew up, they started jobs, they started to work in industry, and that they never had anything given to them on a plate, as we say here in the UK, where you know nothing is inherently given to you, or it's not through who you are as a person. You basically work your ass off to be where you are now, and that's something that I do my best to keep in everyday life, work wise, leather wise, personal wise as well. You know, and it's a very good ethos, really. You work hard for what you get, and you reward yourself where possible. So I would definitely say my parents have been the biggest influence on my life. But well, when you asked me that question, so many more other people came to mind. My partner, um, I think of obviously people in the leather scene who kind of held my hand when I started off with as well. No, not even mentioning the influence of people like Tom of Finland. I mean, Tuco Larkson, aka Tom of Finland, he was dead before I was born, so I'd never had the chance to meet him. But we understand how influential he was to all of this and the leather and the fetish community. But I'd say mum and dad are the first two people who came to mind.
And how was for you growing up as a gay boy? Did you have their support straight away? They kind of work it out together?
On the whole, yes, it was quite seamless, really. My parents didn't really know at the time before I came out. I came out when I came back home during my holidays on the first year of university. So I was about 18 or 19. I knew who I was ready. I came out to all my friends at university. Um, my dad kind of recognized it quicker and to an extent kind of understood and processed a bit more. With mum, it took maybe the tiniest a bit longer, but to be honest, both of them, I feel very privileged that I didn't have any problems growing up. I didn't come out when I was in secondary school or at a young age where people are a lot more immature in your social bubble around you and might pick on you a bit more. So on the whole, compared to many other people who are good friends of mine and people in the community or not in the community, I had a very lucky growing up, that's for sure.
Do you think they knew before you came out that you're gay?
No, I've asked them that question loads. The only thing that my mum picked up on, and it's hilarious actually, when we were on holiday, on summer holidays or traveling or whatever, I would always read in England and in the UK we have Hello magazines and OK magazines, very kind of pop culture, celebrities doing this and that, and the news of celebrities. And on summer holidays, you just see me reading through it. And most of the time it was looking at footballers who were getting married, because that's who I really fancied at the time when I was growing up as a young boy. And that was the only thing that mum came to mind, really. No, I mean, from my side, the schools that I grew up in and the area, there weren't many opportunities or many other people in the LGBTQ community. My mum and dad to think, oh, could Tom be like that as well?
I see. Very good.
Yeah.
Next question, ready?
Mm.
Let's do it. Okay, Tom, next question is, what does success mean to you?
I'm going to be really boring again and saying what we've talked about a few minutes ago. Success means, you know, thinking of the project or a goal that you've wanted, whether it's an individual goal, a group goal, something in between. You've had a good follow through and you've been true to yourself throughout that whole, as I said, goal or project that comes to mind. You've put as much, you know, mental or physical work into that goal, and obviously the goal has been achieved. And that's what kind of success looks like. For me, success doesn't mean kind of the wealth or what you get in return of doing something. It means you yourself knowing that you did a pretty cracking job at something because of the amount of effort that you've put into it, and something that you're very proud of more than anything. That's what success means like to me. So it doesn't have to be this, because you can do work in the leather, the fetish community without a sash, you know.
Interesting you saying that, Tom, because I agree with you. I think success is very personal. Yeah, I think success would be, again, this feeling of achieving something could be waking up earlier than usual, or doing something
Yeah.
out of your comfort zone, or achieving something very big financially. It could be anything. I think it's very personal. It's how you see, how you feel it. Yeah, cool. Next question. Let's do it. Right. So before the next one, tell me, leather community, about, the fetish about leather. There was a moment that you got connected with it, or did something happen that you go like, okay, I see myself in this community, or I feel great about it, or I feel my totally self. There was a moment, or you kind of discover it through the years.
Gosh, so if people answer this question, it can maybe take 10 to 15 minutes. So I'll try and be as close as I can, William, or it's going to be the morning, basically. Um, I think for me, usually when you're younger, you don't remember these moments that come to you initially. But I think there were two moments for me when I was very, very young. So, under the age of 5, 10, but I still remember them to this day. One, when I was on a summer holiday somewhere in Germany, I guess seeing family, there's this really old motorbike that was redeveloped, and I think it was kind of just in the 2000s, almost like a World War II motorbike basically. And I found it, and I was too young to realize that you probably shouldn't be doing this, but I started to lick the leather seat itself because it was a material that I never felt it before. It had this weird warm sensation to it, and that's what I remember. And then weirdly, on the complete other side, the second side in terms of the fetish that came across is that when I was growing up, I grew up on Power Rangers. Now, Power Rangers is something that you've got lots of people who wear very skin tight, um, very attractive looking material that's very, very shiny. So maybe that latex, PVC, rubber like. And the people look very, very good wearing it. So I was almost kind of like, I was always looking at them wearing that gear and showing success and fighting off bad guys, and that's what kind of those are those two moments growing up. Now that's very different for when you discover the leather, the fetish, maybe a bit of the underground style of things. And it was maybe 2 years ago, I watched some educational videos that some fetish apps were putting online because it was still during COVID. Nobody could meet in person. They were doing YouTube videos or educational videos. And I learned a lot about the history of the leather community and how the leather and the fetish community basically started after World War II in the 50s and the 60s in these big European and American cities. And I got really hooked on this. I'm somebody who's quite passionate about history more than anything. So when I found out about that, I thought, okay, where do I go in London? Basically, it was post-COVID. I had to find somewhere to meet up with like-minded leather and fetish folk. And I stumbled upon a club called London Leathermen, and they organized events and socials, as did other clubs. So I started to go to my first leather social, as they called it, in Soho in London, as we know, very crowded, full of leather guys, girls, everything in between. And I didn't have any leather on, so I felt completely out of place. But I was grateful that I went with a friend who was I met online on one of the apps maybe a couple of weeks beforehand, and we both went together.
Wow.
Because two people is definitely better than one. And when I discovered that, I got to know people, you build friendships, you go to bigger events, you go to abroad events or around the UK, your bubble increases and you realize that there are a lot more opportunities to either do work or just network in the scene. And that's kind of made me where I am today, basically, William.
I was about to say, now you became the Mr. Leather Europe 2024. Oh my
It's
God.
ridiculous. It's ridiculous, isn't it? It's kind
I
of
found so interesting. Sorry, I found so interesting you saying that, because it's something new for you. Not new, but it's kind of you explore more deeper, through a time where the world was shut, like the world was stopped. And when things start open up, you kind of follow your instincts, yourself, and
yeah.
you just follow. And here you are. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
I love it. It's
Yeah. Absolutely. I think, William, it's not just me who's gone on this journey after COVID. After speaking to so many people in the community, not only in London, UK, Europe, the rest of the world, so many people found their fetishes during COVID. If they're with somebody, by themselves, watching things online. and they thought, oh God, I need to find somewhere in person. You know, when the doors opened, we were able to travel everywhere and go to events. It was a real kind of new generation of leather and fetish family, basically, and we see that so much in London in particular. It's fantastic and all around Europe. So it's really all of these new people who come onto the scene, new, fresh ideas,
Yeah,
wanting to help out and really be themselves. It's great. It's really lovely to feel that energy.
amazing. Next question is, if you won the lottery, what would be your first big splurge?
Oh God, I would do the most expensive road trip um, in two places. One, my favorite holiday that I've ever been on was doing the West Coast of America. So I'd instantly, book the flights, book the travel, book a lovely car, and I would go travel the West Coast because that was, as I said to you, that was my favorite holiday based on the people, culture, food, lifestyle, attractions, everything in between. That's the first place that comes to mind to get a bit of calmness. But I'd also probably become incognito for a few months and travel around Asia. I haven't had the opportunity to travel around Southeast Asia, Australasia in particular. So I'd go and spend all the money in the world, regardless of how much that is, and do that. But at the same time, I would be also thinking, what about family and friends back home? So it would be important to stabilize a family, friends, and people who need it the most, who I know. So I'd have those two sides. I'd be enjoying life with friends, families, loved ones, but then equally, I'd be, looking after them and making sure that they've got a decent future. Those are the two things, and that doesn't even include buying the most expensive or the most fabulous leather gear or anything. I wouldn't even be thinking of that. It's not the first thing that comes to mind at all.
Three questions left. Let's do
Oh
it.
no.
Hey, Tom, next question is, what is your funniest memory of a date that you had?
Hmm. A date. Gosh. Well, to be honest, it's quite boring because I've only had two relationships in my life. So kind of, and in terms of the dates that I've been on with them, it all happened so quickly. I mean, God, you have to give me a bit of time to think about it, really. I mean, the first time that I met my current partner, it was at London Pride last year,
Oh, wow.
and it was fantastic. Very, very busy. We both met each other online on an app, and we both said, "Look, we're going to be in London for the weekend. Let's just go out on Friday, see how it is." And
Wow.
then it's not necessarily funny, but I went to the place where he was staying in London. We both went to a famous leather bar that was around. It shut last year in East London called the Back Street. Um, and we both had a really incredible time there. It's not, to be honest, I don't have any really. It sounds very boring, William. I don't have any
No,
funny date
it's
stories, love.
no, it's not the funniest, but the most memorable one that comes to my mind.
Yeah,
Naturally, this one was the one, so why not?
yeah, and it was just a really lovely night. It just so unexpected, spur of the moment. It was actually a rubber night, and neither of us had any rubber at the time, so we both went in full kind of Tom of Finland gear. No, nobody cared, which is fine. But that was that really. We just had a great night. Finished the night at 3, 4 in the morning, and we had to wake up at about 8 a.m. to get
Mm.
ready for Pride. So that wasn't fun. I don't know how we functioned that weekend.
It was the love around, giving like sharing energy.
Oh yeah, I think it was that high on energy, high on life, darling.
Saying that, what's the biggest difference between both of you and the biggest similarity?
Partners,
Yeah, your
sim
your current partner.
similarities that come to mind. Two perspectives. One, we're very heavily into leather and biking, and two, that we're just decent people. We both kind of just we have the same humor. We just bounce off each other, in terms of conversation. Biggest difference, I would probably say we both live quite far apart, actually. My current partner, he was born and raised in a different part of the UK, lives in Wales right now, and I live in London. So that would be, I mean, but both of us, we travel to each other, we go to events, so we see each other a lot. It's fantastic. Still quite a new relationship, but I think to be honest, that's the that's the biggest difference, as well as the jobs that we do. It sounds really boring, but that's it really.
Nothing's boring. Everything's real.
Thank you.
Two questions left. Let's do it. Right, before the next question, tell me, since you've been exploring, the leather community, the fetish community, what's the biggest misconception that people still has regarding people who wears leather, or they express themselves in a proportion that's, regarding fetish or leather itself?
Yeah, I think to people who aren't in the community, and it seems to be a bigger issue actually in just the broader LGBTQ community. That every when you walk down Soho or wherever around, London, UK, Europe, wherever, there's an assumption that if somebody looks at you, or you kind of think, oh, that they look at this Leatherman and they just think that we think just about sex, and that we see someone walk down the street and we think, oh, we want to tie them up, we want to do naughty pervert things to them. But to be honest, that's the last thing I'm thinking of, because what I'm thinking of is lots of other things, such as, what music am I listening to? What Taylor Swift song do I want to listen to next? What's my favorite, place to go out? How much money do I have? All of these things come to mind. We're just very normal human beings, but we have a fetish for wearing leather, rubber, sports gear, and anything in between. It's that misconception. Yeah, that there are times in which we want to get our rocks off, as we say in the UK, but that's very rare. And even when we go to social spaces, most of the time we're just talking about very, very normal things, what's going on in politics, the news, sport, music artists, and everything. That I think that's the biggest misconception, that we're all very nasty people and we want to tie everybody up, and that's quite frankly never. On occasions it can be with like-minded friends with consent,
Yeah.
but we're not always thinking about that at all, William.
See. Okay. Next question for you is, what things do you consider to be relationship deal breakers?
Oh wow, like red flags and green flags. This is what we were talking about. Quite a new term, aren't they? Relationship deal breakers, God. Um, for me, it's somebody who, whilst things such as, money, houses and things are very, very important. For me, the most important thing is just having a good life and enjoying every single moment. For me, one of my mottos is kind of living every day like it's your last day. And that's not to say you go out drinking and you partying every single day. That's not what I mean. But what I mean is that I would want a partner who's not kind of focused just on having the biggest house, the biggest car, the most amount of money in their bank account, because that for me actually is a massive turn off. Because for me, I work to live. I don't live to work, and that's something that I think is very important, because we would just be talking about work every evening after we finish work, and I don't want that, to be honest, William. I don't think anybody does, hopefully. Um, Another thing is as well, just being very natural with themselves. For me,
Mhm.
my partner, my partner, he's very comfortable wearing leather, being out on the bike, wearing pride flags on his bike, for example. That's something that means a lot to me, and really, 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 it certainly means a lot. So I think those two things come to mind more than anything, and just somebody who's quite, experienced, a decent human being, isn't childish, immature. They kind of know what they want in life, and have that little bit of adulthood, for me, to be honest, William, as well.
Amazing. Yeah, I think now, as you said about red flags or green flags, I think, when you know people, you feel their vibes, if they're honest, I think about communication, honesty is there. If people,
Yeah,
whatever, if you're honest with yourself and the person you are dating or meeting, if it goes right, good, you know what I mean? It
yeah,
might, if not, carry on and find your other half somewhere, and things gonna go in the right place.
yeah. Exactly. So yeah, from my side, those two or three things would certainly come to mind.
And if they like leather, it's a plus.
Yeah, exactly. It's always a plus. I mean, it's not the end of the world, to be honest. And as I said, those are my three. green flags slash red flags. And as I said, that doesn't include leather at all. For me, I don't live every day in leather. I don't wake up in leather. I don't go to sleep in leather. Not all the time. I don't go to work in leather because to be honest, I would go stir crazy. But when I want to with friends, loved ones, because it makes you feel good and confident. That's it. And there are times which you can just have to wear tracksuit bottoms.
Last question, Tom. Let's do it.
hmm
But before the last question, I'm gonna ask a question in two parts. The first
Yeah.
part is, tell me the moments when you were standing there, when they said, your name, you're the new Mr. Leather Europe 2024. Tell me the feeling. What was the expectation? Tell me your emotion out there. And the other part of the question is, what do you want to leave your legacy? For example, in a year time, when you need to pass, the title to somebody else, what do you like people to remember about? Okay, I'll remember Tom for that, or something that you left there. Tell me about it.
Sure. Yeah, from my side, they're two very valid questions. So the first thing that came to mind, so to answer your first part of the question, which was based around how did you feel when the host shouted your name? I felt nothing. I felt absolutely nothing. I thought they said a different name or something like that. And it's only when I felt kind of hands around me and hugs and everything that
Wow.
I started to recognize what was happening. And even the MC had to go to me and say like, you. Um, but for me, I had a table of friends and loved ones who were kind of in the audience. And I saw them standing up, even a couple of them, on their seats, clapping. I saw a few of them like sobbing and everything, and that's what got me going in terms of emotions and thinking of obviously all of the hard work and effort that I've gone through, and just that feeling of elevation and kind of a bit of like maybe like a finally moment. Really, it's happened because over that whole weekend you are stressed out. You're thinking not only about this, but you're thinking about putting on a good job. You've got interviews, you've got performances, you have speeches to try and remember. I think
Wow.
what happened in those few minutes, I thought, God, at least it's just over all of it, because it is a lot to handle.
Sure.
So that's how I felt. And then the day after in the morning, I was kind of crying my eyes out because I just
Oh,
thought, oh my God, this is happening,
that
fantastic
was
and
the moment
everything.
when you realized. That was the moment when you said, "Okay, I got it."
Yeah. But from our side, we were obviously partying throughout the night. We got home at silly o'clock in the morning. But then when you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh my God, this has just
Happened.
happened. I'm going to have a brilliant year.
Wow.
So leads on very nicely to your second question. What's the legacy that I want to leave behind? It'll be 2 points. One, to realize that, if you're a title holder, you need to show the true kind of personality in yourself and the true values of a Leatherman. So for me, that's about, honesty, trust, and integrity. We kind of talked about those buzzwords at the start of this interview, and if I can do my best to let people know that kind of this is who I was and this is what I wanted to kind of shrug off to people who I'm around and make them feel equally like that, then that's fantastic. And I can give that on to the next individual, whether they need it or not. And the second point is that for me, throughout this title year, I want to focus on three areas. And this is what I talked about in Milan a few weeks ago about, respecting the past and the history of our community. There are decades of our community that many people might not be educated on, and we can talk about the importance about that. Two, it's about kind of identifying and trying my best to promote and help out some current barriers in our community. That would be, for example, working on the acceptance and tolerance of, ourselves as leather men, women, folk, fetish people, everybody, and kind of the responsive inclusion and diversity in the community. There's still really a lack of acceptance and tolerance, and it comes in good timing at this interview. At the moment, it's trans visibility week, and that's something that I want to do my best to help out, hold everybody's hands who are feeling a little bit more left out. Because for me, I feel a lot of privilege, and there are a lot of people who want to or are in this community who feel less privileged or not welcome enough. And three, with both of them in mind, it's about creating strong pillars for our future community that hit home those factors. So it's a lot. I realize that it's a lot of time, and I might not be able to work on all of those areas. But it was as if we talked about, if I can make myself as successful as possible, knowing that I've put as much effort into it, that's what I'll remember myself as well.
Amazing. Very good. Last question is, if you met someone sad in the street, yeah, what would be your advice or your approach to this person?
Someone sad?
Yeah.
Well, it all depends really, but the first thing I come to mind is kind of one of my motto words in life, which is it's kind of live every day like it's your last day. You know, you see on the news these days about, you know, some really bad, poor, negative things that are going on with people in the world, whether it's in parts of the world that were things were expected really, things that weren't given to people on the plate, or random things that happen to people in life that is very, very shocking. You know, it's a case of living every day like it's your last day and saying, you know, no matter how sad you're feeling, that there is somebody in the world who's feeling worse than you because they have to feel worse. You know, somebody could just be feeling sad on the street because, you know, I don't know, they had a bad day at work, or they've wasted money on an expensive pint in London or something like that. It all varies, but the point is saying that, you know, just live every day like it's your last day, because we never know what's going to happen the next day on Thursday. So that's kind of my little motto that I give to myself as well. So if I'm feeling a bit rubbish as well.
Amazing. Okay. It's not the end yet. Let's play now the word association game. Okay, I'm going to give away some words. Just tell one word that comes to your mind. Quick thinking.
Okay.
Let's start with family.
Oh, everything. That was it. Yeah.
Life.
Prosperous.
Love.
Happiness.
Sex.
Pleasure.
Ooh. Religion.
Religion. Gosh. Divided. Yeah.
Money.
Fame.
Fear.
Spiders.
Politics.
Yeah. Crap.
Friendship.
Lifelong.
Desire.
Lust.
Regret.
Learning.
Success.
Personal.
Wish.
Luck.
Happiness.
Family.
One word for London.
Big. I had so many that came into mind, like diverse. It's
Okay.
just big.
One word for Berkshire.
Berkshire.
Yeah.
Oh, small town.
Okay. One word for leather community.
A family.
One word for England.
Probably nostalgia, many memories. Yeah.
Okay. And the last one now, Mr. Leather Europe 2024. One word.
Privileged.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Let's pretend now I'm going to meet your parents for a coffee, and I'm going to ask them, define Tom in one positive word and one negative word on what they would say.
One word.
One word.
Loving as the positive, thankfully. And as a negative, fixated might be one. So kind of to your point, it's that whole concept of focusing on something too much or overthinking.
Interesting. Okay. Let's play now Tom and the Magic Box, and you can ask me a question. Actually, before you ask me the question, tell me what's your favorite German word?
The first thing that comes to mind and I learnt this at school, is Naturwissenschaften, which is, firstly six syllables, so it's a lot for an Englishman, but it is just German for sciences, basically.
Oh,
It's absolutely ridiculous, but it sounds fantastic. Naturwissenschaften, it kind of just comes off the end of the tongue. And I remember when you include that in a sentence when I was younger or now, it always, it makes you feel good.
amazing. Okay, you can ask me a question now, Tom.
Okay. I thought about this one. I did because I'm happy that you didn't ask me this one, but what's the best life advice that somebody's ever given you and why?
Wow, good question, actually. Good question. You put me in the spot now. The best life advice, I'll tell you straight away. When I was 19 years old, I moved from Brazil to Portugal. Yeah.
Yeah.
After 2 weeks, I was there. I didn't know anyone. I didn't have any friends. I was working, in a place, in a restaurant where I was very lucky. Most of my colleagues, they were married. They had kids. They had,
Mm.
families. Somehow they kind of, when I look back, they adopt me. They saw this 19 years old boy, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Other
they kind of cradled you. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I remember that day clearly. I remember before we start our shift in the evening, I was literally, there was like this glass, the restaurant was this glass wall. And I was just there on my own, like looking away. You know, when you are lost in your thoughts? And I remember all of them, they were talking, like having jokes between them. And I didn't realize that. And suddenly one of my colleagues just he touched my back and he said, I think you left a girlfriend back in Brazil, didn't you? I said, no, why? He said, William, I can see you here alone. I can see you here on your own. And he said something that I'll never forget. He said, William, look, I know you just arrived here. You don't have friends. You are very young. You don't have a lot of, life experience, but Brazil is going to be there always for you. Always. It's never
Mm.
going to run away. You know what I mean? Give a chance to yourself. Take some more week, more month, and you never know. Give yourself this chance. If it goes right, amazing. If you, for some reason, you don't feel, yourself here in Portugal, Brazil is going to be there. You can come back
Yeah.
anytime. So when I think about that, you have no idea how powerful it was because I need to hear that. You know what I mean? I
Mm.
think leaving my family, friends, everyone back in Brazil and going across the world and seeing, being a place that I never, have no idea
Yeah.
about. And suddenly seeing someone saying that to me, you have no idea how it comforts my heart and how I felt so much powerful. Just listen to that. It's true, Brazil is going to be there. So give a try. Try yourself and you never know.
Yeah.
So, and here I am after 20 years, you know what I mean? I think this advice
Yeah.
always remember because at the time I was feeling lonely, I was feeling sad, and I think one of the life lessons or life, you know, um, uh, let's say advice that he gave to me that I'll never forget. So yeah, I could give a lot as well, but this one came to my mind straight away.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I
give give a
yeah.
give a chance. Sometimes you just need to hear those voices. It doesn't matter the time of your life. Could be now. Someone come up to me and say something that's maybe I wasn't ready to hear 20 years ago, or maybe I wasn't ready
Yeah.
to hear yesterday, and now I'm ready for it. So those advice that come sometime in your life, sometimes you're not ready for it, and sometimes it comes in the right time as well. So that's how I believe.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for asking that question. I mean, from my side, I was in Lisbon a couple of months ago for a fetish weekend. So from my side, we used to have a family home very, very close to Lisbon. So I kind of Lisbon was almost my second home, and the Portuguese, we grew very close to them as a family. And maybe there was that assumption that because you were going to still a country that was speaking the same language, you thought that everything would be quite a smooth transition, but it's a bit
Yeah.
of a mind breaker, isn't it?
Totally, absolutely. And when you're 19 years old, you know what I mean. You
Yeah.
don't have a knowledge about life and about things as well. So yeah, I'm so grateful for that moment for sure. Tom,
Perfect.
did you enjoy the interview?
Yes, I can't say no, but seriously, it was incredible. Seriously, no, it's nice. After a busy day at work, you kind of invited me on. We caught up. It felt like a very normal interview, as these things always are. So, no, appreciate it.
Thank you so much, and I would like to tell you that I'm very happy to connect with you this time of your life. You're literally starting a year now ahead with a lot of, I wouldn't say pressure, but a lot of things come on the way. You want to leave your signature in the leather community or in the gay community or our community. And it's so nice to see someone very young and suddenly give this opportunity for yourself to, to live your
Oh,
legacy somehow. So well done to you. I think I feel very happy, and I think it meant to be for you. I think this new year ahead, it meant to be for you somehow. And I think I wish all the best for you to, to go day by day. You're gonna learn a lot. You're gonna share a lot of experience. You're gonna, leave a lot of, you know what I mean, a lot of good things for the community. And
yeah.
amazing. So thanks so much for taking the time. It was a pleasure, having you on the show. And good luck to this new year ahead. I can't wait to see more, more news come from your life since you became Mr. Leather.
Oh, brilliant. No, thank you for the lovely words. A few people have said things similar, and it still takes a little bit of time for me to process some lovely words like that. So, no, seriously, thank you very much for the time as well, William. It means a lot.
And before you go, if you can share a positive message or anything that you live by.
Mm. As I said, it would probably come back to the sad person, living every day like it's your last, but, almost very, very similar to that message. It's kind of live life in your own skin. And I'm not saying that because I wear cowhide, but I wear that because this is what makes me more confident and makes me feel like my true self, really. I've got one side where I'm kind of at home working, and then this other side of me where I feel completely different, but exactly the same in such a good way. So yeah, live life in your own skin and don't let people tell you what's right and what's wrong, because that's complete rubbish.
Amazing. Good night, and we keep in touch. It was a pleasure. Okay, take care.
No worries, William. Have a good night,
Bye.
okay?
Thank you. Bye.
All the best. See you
Bye.
later,
Bye.
mate. Bye, bye.
So, did you like the show? Don't forget to give a like, to share it, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to be part of the show as well, first, subscribe to our channel, and after that, just go to our website, www.williamandthemagicbox.com, and send us a request saying why would you like to be part of the show. And I see you there. Bye bye, see you next time.